Good morning, this is Jack from Charting Markets, and this is the pre-market webinar for the morning of Wednesday, the 30th of July. My disclaimer, I do this for educational purposes only. I'm here to share my technical analysis with you. I hope you can take some of what I'm doing, learn from it, transfer it to your own chance. I'm not here to issue trading signals. This is a video for paying subscribers at chartingthemarkets.substack.com and is published on YouTube after a delay of 24 hours. All right, great. Okay, let's have a look at ES. Now, yes, one thing I mentioned in my post this morning, which if anyone hasn't read it yet, you should read, is that we've got a nice looking bull flag here, and we've come back and we've tested 6,400. We've got a nice looking little level bottom, sustained break up over 18.75, gets us up into about the 36 area, which should get us through this resistance trend line and set up a retest of the high. I would love to see a retest of the high, so I was very happy to see a bull flag set up here because we lost the negative divergence on the SPX daily chart at the close on Friday. And while sometimes that can mark the high, and it might, of course, do that here, the bull flag is suggesting that we go back, re-establish that negative divergence with another test of the high after a decent decline in the last couple of days. And then we have our negative divergence on probably on the RSI 14 and the RSI 5 back again, and better than before. All right, so we will see how that goes, but I'm liking the retest of the high from here. It may be, we're also testing the daily middle band, it may be that we'll break down directly from here, but the flag says 70%. We're probably going to see a high retest. NQ. NQ, I've got a nice, I'll come to the nice resistance trend lines and the pattern setup on the RTH charts. In the meantime, this could be a little head and shoulders, and this could be a little head and shoulders on ES too, actually. But I'm again leaning towards seeing a retest of the high. We shall see. RTY, nice looking nested double top forming. It would be improved even further by another little retest of this high, and I'm thinking we may get that. On YM, I would still like to see just go a little bit higher to do the full time high on Dow. If we're just doing a retracement, though, that wouldn't be as important. So we will see. In the meantime, we've kind of got a split decision here because we've got a double top which is breaking down with a target in the 44,250 to 350 area, and we've got a weak 60-minute buy signal that's fixed. If we come a bit lower here, that of course could strengthen. But I am wondering, well, it's 6 of one and half a dozen of the other on YM at the moment here. DAX, I'm still leaning towards seeing a retest of the high. Is it essential? Not if we're doing a retracement. And not absolutely in any case, but this kind of looks like a bull flag, and there's an obvious gap for in the setup to see a retest of the high here on DAX and the STX. We haven't seen that yet, and we may well see it. Now, one thing I mentioned was that we've got quite a lot in the post. We've got quite a lot of news. We've got the second quarter GDP coming out today, which is quite important because, of course, if we have a contracting quarter, and obviously this will be revised a couple of times probably, but if we've got a contracting quarter, this officially puts the US into recession. If it's an expansionary quarter, then subject to revisions which might take it negative, then the US is not in recession. That's kind of an important piece of data. We've also got PCE, which is the Fed's favorite inflation data. That's out tomorrow, and we've got jobs coming in on Friday. So I'll be interested to see the jobs because there's been quite a lot of speculation that the last jobs figure was kind of fudged because in these days of Doge and and federal government firing lots of people, it was odd to see 100,000 teachers hired in those last big numbers. So I'm wondering whether we are actually seeing a slowdown. And to be honest, it's hard to tell. The American economy has been enormously resilient. But obviously, a lot of people have, certainly in terms of the government, an awful lot of people have taken early retirement and leaving packages, and tourism is struggling. And there are quite a few areas where, employment is not looking great. So I'll be interested to see what the overall number is. All right, let's have a look at the bigger picture charts. Now, the charts I was showing this morning were, hang on. Okay, well, looking at SPX quickly, could we set up these divergences again quickly with a retest of the high? Yeah, we could. We obviously got down almost to the 70 level on the RSI yesterday. Actually, no, we made it down to 69.97 is where it closed. So obviously we could retest the high, we could set up a really nice divergence on the RSI 5, and we could set up a better divergence on the RSI 14. I have this down as a weak sell signal here. It would be a full sell signal if we went and re-established it, if not for the fact it hadn't quite made it down to 70. But even so, it would be a better divergence, and I'm thinking we may well get that. Looking at the hourly charts, which is where I was drawing the trend lines, I'm always looking around for trend lines, and I've been particularly waiting to see if these evolve into larger ones. And these didn't evolve with the original trend lines, but they don't always. But here we've got this beautiful trend line, lovely anchor. That is just gorgeous. And this last couple of days we've broken down from it. Now obviously if we do retest the high, that would set up a little level top, but it would be very, very difficult. But I'd be looking, if we're going to see a decent retracement, really for some decent moves down. And I'm thinking really one of the obvious places would be to form a head and shoulders in the 6200 area, come down to 6200, maybe form a right shoulder or retest the high, and then that would set up a pattern that could get us down into the 6000 area. That would be one option. So we will see how that goes, and obviously we'd be looking at a topping process rather than an immediate decline to target. But nonetheless, this would be looking very promising. Looking at the Qs, again, same anchor here, lovely trend line. I left the trend lines in just to show you how nice these trend lines are. They are really, really, really nice. So again, a revised wedge. And that wedge has also broken down. Now we don't have, I'd be looking for a topping process here. We haven't really got on either of these any kind of topping pattern at the moment, and I'd be looking for some to form. Dire, we've got a resistance trend line here. It's not quite from the same high. That would be this high on Dire, but it didn't form from that one. It formed from this one, but still a beautiful trend line. This is a really nice rising wedge, and we went down and we tested that wedge support yesterday. It doesn't really matter whether it breaks or not, but if we retest the high, we'd be setting up an initial little level top with an obvious target area down here at about the 437.5 area. I'm thinking, obviously, we may well be doing that. So that's the sort of thing I'd be looking for. I'll come back to the daily middle bands in a minute, but I just want to talk about the IWM one next. So let's have a look at that. IWM, now this is, hang on, unlike the others. Wait a second. We open last close tab, sorry. Right, looking at IWM, bear with me. Okay, IWM, we haven't seen the same thing as the others. We haven't got a new resistance trend line which has formed, but here we've already got a pretty nice looking pattern which has broken down finally, having taken quite a long time to do so. Broke down last week. We retested the high, lovely looking little double top, and obviously we could form a larger pattern from here. IWM, of course, I'm also watching the IHS which is broken up, and I mentioned in my last post that if this is going to fail, then this is the level below which it fails, the right shoulder low at 199.10. And I'll be watching very carefully to see whether that does fail, if we get a strong enough retracement. All right, so we shall see. Looking at DAX quickly, like to see a retest of this high. That wouldn't actually give us any negative divergence, but it would set up a very nice looking potential nested double top. Nikkei, I've been looking for a retest of this high here at 42.4k. This would, what this would mean in terms of what I was looking at this morning was we're going into a topping process that could well involve higher highs, which could involve obviously a retest of this. But obviously we haven't quite made it yet. But I am thinking we've got a bullish day today. And then that's our last bullish day till the 15th of August. And we've got a very bearish leaning day. I mean, usually the first of the month is bullish, but that's not the case in August. We've got a pretty bearish leaning day on Friday, and we've basically got a whole 2 weeks plus of no other bullish days, and that is an opportunity to see a retracement happen. And I'm thinking we may well get that. Right, in terms of the daily middle bands, this is the key support area here. I mean, if you look at the IWM one here, we've seen some significant breaks below, but none of them lasted. since we broke up after the April low. This was the strongest one that basically got rejected the next day. That was a Pinocchio, and we've not even had a Pinocchio lately. This is the key support level here. So obviously we've been testing that where that's at 222.43. Break and convert that, and the retracement is on. Let's have a look at those on the others. So let's have a look at SPX, where we haven't been testing the daily middle band because SPX and the Qs have been the strongest, but I've got that at 62.91. Break and convert that, and the retracement is on. Qs, the same. Haven't gone back and retested it. I've got that now at 558.68, but break and convert that, and again, we're on. And all this built up negative divergence we've got starts to play out. Dire, we have been testing it. We've been testing it on Dire and IWM because they've both been a lot weaker than the others. The first signs we're going to see are both of these breaking their support, and yesterday they were both testing it. If we go the other way today and actually go down hard, we could break both of those today. Although, and that would be a first step, but I am leaning towards bullish day today, and we do actually have historically a fairly strongly bullish leaning day today in any case. So we will see how it goes. But obviously, if the second quarter GDP comes out and it was recession, obviously that probably wouldn't be great for the prospects of this retesting the high today. So we shall see. All right, great. Let's have a look at DX. Now, DX, we had this nice looking double top here, had a really obvious target, and it rejected higher. I'm respecting that, and I think we could be forming a larger pattern here. Equally, we've got a possible IHS neckline here, and I'm thinking that may well be a place where we could form a right shoulder to go down. But of course, there is a possibility here. Sorry, let me just draw it. There is a possibility that actually we've already formed the right shoulder, and that what we're watching here is this IHS breaking up. So bear with me a moment. That would be the IHS. Sorry, it's not perfectly drawn, but that is it, basically. So we could already be looking at an IHS which is breaking up. Watching that with interest, we did have a lot of indicators yesterday that was suggesting that the dollar might have some more downside coming. We haven't seen that yet. We've also, one of those was the 60-minute sell signal that's fixed. Euro, buy signal that's fixed. GBP, buy signal that's fixed. USD JPY, 60-minute sell signal, that has actually already reached the possible near miss target. USD CAD, we had this lovely bearish triangle, and it's broken the other way. It's a 70-30 thing, so I mean, the majority of the time these will break down, but sometimes they'll break up. This one broke up. 60-minute sell signal is fixed. These could all fail, but we've still got a lot of sell signals pointing in the other direction. This one here is on the verge of failing. If we close the hour here in 2 minutes, which is likely, then this is going to fail. And NZUSD, I'm just wondering whether we're looking at the reaction to the GDP number coming out. I don't know what time that's coming out, but I'm wondering about that. All right, and here 60-minute buy signal is fixed, and that's on the verge of failing too. We're seeing quite a strong move right now. Yeah, we had a possible bull flag set up here, and that's failing. It looks as though this is going strongly the other way, and the dollar is going up. That may be in response to news we've just had. So we'll see. All right, CB. Again, we're seeing some reaction here. On here, I've been thinking that we might well be losing this head and shoulders here, and we went above the right shoulder overnight. So that is gone. I think we may be forming an alternate pattern here. We didn't quite reach the trend line I drew. Do we have... I don't think we're close to the other main one I'd be looking at, which would be here. I may actually be completely wrong about this. I measure quite a lot of these things by eye, and I don't always get it entirely right. Nope, didn't quite reach that one either. So I'm watching this with great interest, but I'm leaning towards seeing retest this high and doing just a little bit higher. On ZN, haven't drawn in the pattern, but I am wondering if a similar pattern is forming here. In which case, we might well find an obvious candidate would be here. And we'd be pretty close to that again, and we wouldn't have hit it yet again. So I'd be leaning towards seeing a little higher, but I think at this stage I haven't actually checked on TNX and TLT, but I suspect all of those patterns which were looking as though they'd take bonds down have failed. All right, looking at CL. CL, we got a 6-minute sell signal fixed, and I'm thinking we got a nice looking rising wedge here. There's definitely prospects for this to be reversing. We don't have a lot of sell signals on it, though. We don't have one on HO, although we've already given back a lot of this spike up. RBOB, we're starting to give that back, but we didn't get a sell signal there. NG, nice looking little level bottom set up here. That's basically still there, although it's moved to resistance being there. But really, this is looking very heavy. I'm wondering if we're going to see the break of 3 next, and set up and really confirm the next move down. GC, we got a double bottom here, showed no signs of breaking up, even with a 60-minute buy signal. I'm thinking that we may well be going lower. SI is getting pretty close to the double top resistance, which I have to say is a very nice looking potential level top. HG, we've also got a very nice looking potential level top. That's actually tested the support already, but it didn't break so far. Palladium and platinum, possible head and shoulders forming on platinum here. All right, KC. KC, we've got possible triangle forming here. I'm thinking doesn't look really like a flag, but it could be a bearish triangle. SB, possible IHS forming here. If so, we would need to break up through this neckline here in the 17 area. CC, nice looking little inverted head and shoulders, which is already broken up. Could be rejecting, waiting to see. If it gets below the right shoulder low, which is here, not far below, but below the weekly pivot at 8202, which is currently support, then yeah, that would fail. CT, this is a bearish triangle, which is pleasingly actually breaking down. So I'm leaning towards this delivering a retest of this low here at 66.25. Lumber, we had a double top breakdown here. We've got a potential larger double top formed here now, or at least a higher double top. So no actual real sign of reversal here. ZW, I've been leaning short and we've been going down. Possible 60-minute buy signal brewing. Corn made the head and shoulder target, but hasn't actually quite made the retest of this low target. I'm leaning towards seeing that. This looks like a bear flag forming. On soy, I'm leaning towards seeing a retest of this low here. Haven't made it yet, but I'm not seeing anything compelling saying that we aren't going to. On soybean oil, we've got a nice looking little double top here now, and I'm looking really for a test of this rising top, which I've got currently in about the 54.2 area. On live cattle, uptrend, nothing really contradicting that at the moment. Not seeing any particular reason for this to be reversing. Lean hogs, we've got a little level top here, which is broken down, but mainly I'm watching to see whether after a retest of the low or whatever, whether we see a breakup over this falling megaphone resistance, and we haven't seen that yet. All right, great. Let's have a look at questions. GDP 3%, better than expected. All right. Well, in that case, I'm leaning towards seeing that retest the high on ES today. Now that GDP might get revised, but to be honest, we've not been seeing a lot of signs of weakness over the last couple of months. It may well be that they're coming, but we haven't seen them yet. I'm liking a retest this high, and then I'm still liking a retracement. So we will see how that goes. All right, in that case, I think that's a wrap, guys, because I need to do the crypto webinar in a couple of minutes. Catch you guys tomorrow morning. Today leans bullish. We've got a nice looking flag here. GDP numbers were better than expected. Let's see if we get that high retest. All right, take care.